the last 5 years, there's a lot happening between Australia and China. I think there's not a lot understood about Australia and China culturally, and probably vice versa. Eastern and Western logic or thinking don't necessarily see eye to eye.
The exhibition really is speaking about China and Australia, but in many ways really deals with the issue of globalisation. How do artists communicate their concerns or their interests or their ideas about this sort of growing phenomenon?
The exhibition is a bridge to link the cultural exchange between Australia and China. Actually, we live a society where many cultures clash without understanding each other.
The idea was that we would do a show that was very China-centric, but in actually thinking about the exhibition itself, what we ended up doing was being involved in that, changing the rationale to some degree to make it more about the two cultures.
The tower comes in 9 levels, and the tower is actually based on Peter Bruegel's painting. So it's a computer-generated version of Peter Bruegel's Tower of Babel. So at the base of the tower, that's before Western contact, when China was in effect pure. And by the time we get to level 4, Western contact becomes quite frequent. You know, the same consumption level and the same carbon footprint level as Western living habits. And after level 4, I think it's where we are now, we have to now be very thoughtful, careful about how things are managed, say in urban China, you know.
So there's a whole range of different ideas being discussed within the exhibition. So the artists were specifically chosen because they worked across a whole range of ideas.
The work itself is made from approximately 20,000 pencils, white pencils, glued together and cut and carved. And I was interested in the idea of an idiomatic expression being something where an idea is abstracted, and particularly this idea of the clouds and the rain is an image of landscape which is abstracted in a poetic way. Well, I think as an artist, I studied with a whole bunch of Chinese students, and the ideas that I received through conversation with the Chinese students were very different to the conversation that was happening in Australia. Particularly one of my classmates really instilled in me a kind of new excitement about portraying beauty in work, and beauty about being something really highly transformative, that people could go into the gallery and see something beautiful and it could have endless possible inspiration for anybody.
Some of them are more about personal identity and cultural identity. Some of them are more about the idea of language and how that impacts on differences.
So for the cultural exchange, I think the art exhibition should be a very great way to help the people to understand each other. And if we can keep doing more projects like this, the Zhongjian Midway exhibition allows Australian and Chinese to achieve this.
Actually, when Shamin was living in Sydney, he had this initial idea to make works by animal bones. And then he went back to China, and then he completed his own works in China. Yes, actually this kind of work is, the technique is totally the traditional sculpture technique. Even though he had 50 pieces of those cabbages, but each cabbages are different, or totally different. And he buy the cabbages, but he took all of the leaves out and make a cast. And he do that and then reassemble them, and it's become each individual cabbages. They all made by the animal bones and bone powder and some glue. From cow to mice, and include human's bone, All this, yes.
An exhibition like this really is about, well, how do we deal with those sorts of issues that come out of globalisation? How do artists communicate their concerns or their interests or their ideas about this sort of growing phenomenon? And so the exhibition really is speaking about China and Australia, but in many ways really deals with the issue of globalisation on a much broader level as well.